Guys, welcome to Just Me Show 001, where today to host none other than Hussein, the activist himself. Welcome, bro.
Thank you so much, Justin.
Welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
But the reason why kutafuta Wakenya walituambia tutafutie huyu jamaa, what keeps him going. But before tufikie hapo, jintroduce ndio wale wakujue. Kuna wengine wanakuona kwa screen. Leo tumeketi na wewe.
Okay. My name is Hussein Khalid, lawyer by profession, currently the executive director of Vocal Africa. I've been in activism for about 15 to 20 years now. I've worked with various local, national and international human rights organizations. I've worked with a number of organizations here in Kenya and also in other parts of Africa, including the Kenya Human Rights Commission, Haki Africa, and of course presently with Vocal Africa. I have a passion for human rights. I am very, I would say, committed to community empowerment and wanting to see my country, Kenya, developing and moving forward. So in a nutshell, that's Hussein Khalid.
Okay. Kuna watu wangetaka kujua Hussein alilelewa wapi, ni nini alikuwa anaona hadi kamfanya anze kupigania raia?
Well, I would say my desire to defend human rights was, brought inside me. I think during my teens, I went through a number of experiences, particularly brushing with the police, that made me feel like no, everything is not right, and we need to do things to improve the situation. I grew up in Nairobi in the semi-slums of Ngara. We used to play with friends and others from Pangani, Mlango, Mathare, and the likes. And in those kinds of places, police usually just go there to harass people. So, yes, exactly. So my experience with the police as a boy, as a teenager, as a high school student was not very, I would say, friendly. I was arrested a number of times merely for, not having an ID. And I used to tell them, I'm a student.
I'm not of age.
Yeah, I haven't, sijafika 18. How am I supposed to get an ID? In some instances, even when my school ID was brought, they would still want to be bribed, even after confirming that, I'm not yet 18. I had challenges, I saw police killing a person right before my eyes, when we were walking one of the days in Luthuli. And we saw that, police just accosted someone. The guy went down on his knees, raised his hands, and after looking around for a minute or two, they decided to just shoot the guy at point blank range. I've had experiences where police wanted to plant bang in my trouser because I had 20 shillings. Those days, in the late 90s, 20 shillings was a lot of money. And I just come from playing football. And see, that money for me was breakfast and possibly dinner the next day. And they wanted to take it. Nikambia hapana, I'm just from playing football. I've toiled for this money. And then you just want to take it. Nikambia hapana, hiyo nayo amuchukui. So wakanichapa vibare hapo, wakasema hii bangi ni yako. They just removed bank from their pockets and said hii ni yako, tutakupeleka mbele. Nikamwambia munipeleke mbele, lakini pesa yangu haendi nayo.
Na bangi uko
It wasn't mine. Of course, I've never used bangi myself. I don't even know how it tastes like, But then they said that they will plant it. And they'll take me to the station and they will say that I had that.
They were trying to
because they wanted me to allow them to just walk away with my money. So I said, fine, tutaenda mbele, tutajua huko mbele, but pesa yangu amchukui. So after a few slaps and all that, they gave me back my money and told me to leave. So my experience as a young man coming of age, wasn't very, I would say, cordial with the police.
Yeah.
And I took it upon myself to try and improve the human rights situation in our country. Of course, it's more than just the police. Now, the older you grow, you know now it's the whole system, it's the government, it's the culture, you know, in the country, corruption and everything. So that then made me now take an interest in how governance works in Kenya, how decisions are made, how people get to where they are, police and all that. And that's how I found myself doing this work. So it just came automatically for me.
And by the way, because we have talked about the police, how do you feel when you are seated, or rather you are in your house, you are even asleep, then you are like, there's a young man who has been killed somewhere, there's somebody who has been killed somewhere.
I think for me, when I hear of these atrocities being committed, you know, by police or, you know, any other security agency, it takes me back to those days, you know, when I felt it's not right. And I've been through a lot myself. I've been arrested so many times, beaten by police. You know, I've been in police cells almost the entire country, you know. And it reminds me, when I see someone in that situation, it reminds me of where I was. And, you know, wanting to have people to come and save me. So I always imagine that I'm in their shoes. And if someone comes to help them out, especially when it's an issue that involves a violation, you know, and it gets even worse when there is a killing. You know, someone has been killed, you hear, especially of late, so many people dying in police custody, you know, in police cells. Some were on their way to the police station and they die. You know, this is something that shouldn't be happening. These are individuals who have sworn to protect us. How is it that we are losing our lives in their hands? A young man like Albert Ojwang, you know, taken hundreds of kilometers away
To be killed
to Nairobi,
station.
and just to be killed. And then you come out and you say he hit his head on the wall. You know, such absurdity we have in our security agencies. And the people, you know, it's like they just enjoy impunity. You can come and lie to the country and just say things that were made up, and nothing happens to you. Absolutely nothing. So these are the things that, you know, really get to me. And I feel like, you know, if there is anything I can do, I should do it. Because remember, we have our children to come. We don't want them to inherit a country like the one we inherited from our parents. We want to give them a better country. And the only way we can do that is by fighting now to have a better country. So that when we are gone, or when we are handing over the country to them, then it's better than the way we found it.
How do you feel when you hear from the head of state saying that you should hit the legs of these young guys when they're
Yeah, I think that's totally unacceptable.
From such an office.
The president, the highest office in the land, asking the police to shoot someone in the leg. And you know Rex Masai? Rex Masai, the first person who died in the Gen Z protest, died as a result of a gunshot to the leg.
Even there's was it a judge or a magistrate who was hit on the leg?
Exactly, and died. So shooting in the leg can be fatal. And to hear the president saying, you know, if you see someone trying to break into, there's a reason why we say innocent until proven guilty by a court of law, not proven guilty by a mob or proven guilty by the police. So even you, as a police officer, you are seeing someone, you may be thinking he's breaking into that shop or that supermarket. But you never know, maybe that person could be the owner of that shop and he's actually heard that there are chaos, and he could be trying to get in to get his goods out so that and take them to safety. You never know. That's why the law says guilty, innocent until proven guilty by a court of law. So if you're a police officer and you see someone trying to do something, and automatically you start thinking he's trying to, and you shoot, and then that person dies, then you know we can't have that. The duty of a police officer is to arrest a criminal, to arrest a suspect. Make sure you have the evidence, If you're taking a video or if you have witnesses seeing that person, committing the crime, you get them to the police station. They record statements which are taken to court. So the due process of law must be followed. Police should not use excessive force, and we must condemn the utterances of the president, and we must treat them with the contempt that they deserve.
Sure. There's still back to Ojwang's case. It was alleged that he was being held simply because of publishing some information about the deputy chief inspector. Then later on, junior police officers are being held.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. Still, we don't know what is it.
I think it's very, very disappointing that to date, the DIG, Eliud Lagat, has not been held accountable for his role or his contribution to the death of or the killing of Albert Ojwang. It's public knowledge that he was the complainant, and that had it not been for him, then all the actions that took place would not have happened. And we know that the officers who were acting, as is now public knowledge, they kept insisting that they were doing what they were doing under the instructions of their senior officers. And to have those senior officers not arrested and brought before a court of law is a travesty. And as Kenyans, we must ensure that justice and the due process of the law is followed. So I still believe and I still call for the arrest of DIG Eliud Lagat, so that he can have his day in court and explain to Kenyans if if and or how he was involved in this, and then let the court decide that whether he's guilty or innocent. But for us to just decide for the prosecution or for the DCI to make that decision on their own and not presenting the evidence for the courts to decide, I believe that is a miscarriage of justice.
So this confirms that kuna shamba la wanyama. There are those animals that are bigger than others.
Oh yeah, in Kenya, without a doubt, unfortunately. And this is why we are fighting every day. This is why we demand justice. This is why we call for protests and all that stuff. Because shamba la wanyama in Kenya is very real. Animal farm is thriving. There are people who believe they are above the law. I think you saw recently with the driver of the Kibra MP. Total impunity. Exactly. Had it not been for that video, then that guy would have walked scot-free. So these attitudes that we have, particularly by the so-called Waheshimiwa, is sickening. And we must have a country where everyone is treated equal before the law. No one is above the law, not even the president himself. And we must all abide by the law at all times.
Then the citizens themselves need to elect leaders that uphold the
I totally agree with you on that, 100%. They say people get leaders they deserve.
Yeah.
It is we as Kenyans who go and vote for these leaders who are, full of arrogance and attitude towards the people. So I hope that the Gen Z in the last 1 or 2 years have brought to Kenya a new way of doing things, new vigor, new spirit. It is my hope that they will continue with that to the 2027 elections, and that they will actively and fully engage in the electoral process to give us leaders who are, committed to justice and the rule of law. I hope that, the youth will save this country from the abyss that, we were in for the last many decades. And, in 2027, we usher in a new beginning with a new crop of leaders who are there to serve Kenyans and not to be served themselves.
Sure. Now, there is voter registration is taking place. There is a good number of Gen Z who were underage when that exercise was taking place some days back. Now, I think it has been there are a good number of them who don't have those voter registration. What is your advice to them so that we also be able to influence the next leadership of this country?
My advice to the Gen Zs, you guys have breathed new life into Kenya. I think 2024, 2025 have changed this country forever, for good. We will never go back to those dark days. I think the Gen Zs have brought about new patriotism, nationhood, loyalty to the country. And it is our hope and belief that the Gen Zs will actually go out and get your voters' cards. That is the best weapon right now we have to change this country, so that we get in leaders who are, committed to serving Kenyans. So Gen Zs, please, 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 you are our only hope for a better Kenya. Go out, get your voters' cards, and make sure you fully engage in the electoral process. Because it is only by engaging in the electoral process, going to the campaigns, listening to what the politicians are saying, will you be able to identify the right leader to take over in 2027. So get involved in the electioneering campaign, understand the manifestos of your leaders, understand their vision, what they want to do, and then come 2027, make sure you vote for the best candidate in all positions. And I think if the Gen Zs can do us that favor, then this country will be on its path to success.
A wonderful statement. Get it from Sharif himself.
Yes.
For us to change our country, we need to get our voters card. We ensure that on 9th of August, 2027, we make the right decision.
Correct. Correct.
There's this thing, Boniface Mwangi security. The other day was talking that his life is in danger.
Yeah.
Honestly, why do people...
Yeah, I think Boniface Mwangi, my brother, my comrade, my colleague, has had it rough in the last 1 year or so. I think he's been arrested 4 or 5 times.
Yeah,
that's
back and forth.
Too many times. Yeah, back and forth, back and forth. And then we all know what he went through in Tanzania, So he's had a very, very difficult 1 year or so. I think the government is targeting him. I think the government has decided to use him as an example to try and threaten him, to intimidate him.
So that he doesn't speak up his mind.
I think probably they fear a possibility of him rallying the youth vote for him and behind him. And for that reason, they're trying to find every other way of reducing his influence, when you have court matters, I have court matters myself. Basically, you can't plan beyond the next court date, because you don't know when you go to court what the outcome will be. If you will be jailed, if they will give you another date maybe to come back to court. Because, these court sessions are very, very important. If you don't attend, a warrant of arrest is issued. So I think the idea behind having so many cases for activists, for, people who are criticizing the government, it's to tie you down so that you can't really plan yourself well. And if anyone has been a victim of that, it's definitely Boniface Mwangi. So we want to tell the government that please allow freedom of association. Please allow freedom of expression. When Kenyans speak up,
on the law.
It's in the constitution. It's in the constitution. When Kenyans speak up to criticize, it is their right. When Kenyans come together to protest, it is their right. When Kenyans assemble to have meetings, to plan, and you send goons and police officers to disperse, the freedom of assembly is a constitutional guarantee. So for government to use the state machineries, particularly the police, to violate people's constitutional rights is absolutely unacceptable. And that is why we need to have leaders who respect the constitution, leaders who respect the law, so that we can have a country that is free for everyone to enjoy their rights.
I was having a discussion with somebody, and they told me that some government machineries or other individuals are against activism, guys, simply because they are trying to take whatever they have in their mouth back to the people.
Yeah, I mean, it's
challenging.
It's challenging. I mean, the work that we do in itself, first of all, is very risky.
Yeah.
Because you're always on the front line.
You're not sure of your tomorrow.
Exactly. Those bullets that hit Rex Masai or they hit
or whatever that Ojwang went.
Shieni and others, it could have very easily have been me. Because we were in all the protests.
Yeah.
And then you hear people were killed. So even just being out there is a risk in itself. And then now you have this victimization by the state. Even after the protests and everything, they then come for you. They arrest you. When I went to Tanzania and we were arrested at the airport, it's you don't know what will come next.
Yeah, sure.
So you fear for your life. I mean,
you can't
plan, you can't do all that stuff. Most of activists, they have to watch over them every other second. You're in town, you're walking in the streets, but you have to keep watching who's behind you. Every person that's coming your way looks suspicious. You wonder, is this a police officer? Who is this? When you're driving, you always have to check your side mirrors, check your rear view mirror. Is anyone following? So it's not the best of life to have. It's really challenging. It's a risk every day because I go to...
You don't have a private life.
You don't have a private life, of course. I was saying, you go to autopsies, postmortems, and then you hear the story from the family about the body lying there. And they tell you, we just had breakfast. We had breakfast with him and we agreed that we will meet in the evening. And that person now is a dead body.
Like Ojwang was taken
Exactly.
Suguma with the
He
family.
was taken by 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Ojwang was talking to his wife on the phone, telling her, I've arrived, they brought me to Central Police Station. He called his friends and told them, it's a weekend, but I'm sure these guys will take me to court on Monday. Please call the NGOs, call the human rights people, tell them that I will need a lawyer. So he was planning, and then little did he know he won't see sunrise. So you hear these stories and then you think of yourself, you leave home and you're wondering, is this my last day? Will I be back in the evening? Or is this these are the last clothes I'm wearing? And I will go and I'll be lying on a mortuary slab. So it's not a good life, I would say, to have, but we do it for our country.
But you've done this up to 15, 20 years. What keeps you going with this insecurity?
I think what keeps me going...
Some of us could have given up even within some few months.
Probably. I think, by the way, that feeling of giving up also creeps into us from time to time. Sometimes I feel like, why am I doing this? Every day I do it, but still people are being killed. Am I doing this for nothing? There is no change. We still have the same murderous police service in this country. They are killing with impunity, and all that stuff. So sometimes you get depressed. Like when you receive a phone call and you're told, someone has been killed inside a police station. You're like, really?
How
Why?
This happen?
I mean, how? Why are the police not changing? So it does get to you. But then when you receive that phone call and it's a mother who is crying and telling you, mtoto wangu nisaidie, please, mimi sijui hata nitafanya nini, nataka haki ya mtoto wangu. And then you feel, if I don't do anything, this mother will not get justice.
Sure.
I need to go and help. I need to go and assist. The minimum you can do is call friends or other activists to jump in. But then that feeling after, a police officer is arrested, for example, like the case of Boniface, is it Haruki? The one who was shot in the head.
Actually, the one who was selling the face mask.
Yes, yes, yes. So, when that person is arrested and you're seeing someone being charged in a court of law, you get a bit of relief. You say at least one of them has been held to account and has been removed from the public eye and will not be a threat anymore.
At least can say,
Yes,
it can be
you
set
can
as an
save
example.
other lives, and this is an example. So I think that is what drives us. That we are trying to get rid of the bad apples, the rotten fish,
Yeah.
so that we can live a country that is better for everyone. And that is why we keep doing this.
Great. Now, the case of Karaoke Boniface, he was just selling mask. He was even trying to surrender to the police. But the other police was equally trying to tell the other one, please, don't do that. The other one went on. What's your take in such a cases? Such a police officers who cannot even be able to think twice, or they are given instructions on...
It's the training. It's the training, I believe, at Kiganjo that hardens our officers. Because one thing that all officers have in common is the training. People come from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Some are from northern Kenya, some are from south, westward. So, people come to the police service with different understanding of human dignity and life and all that. But once they leave the training centers, these individuals are usually so hardened, and they consider everyone, as they call it, a potential criminal. That is what they say. When they stop you, they usually imagine you must have done something wrong.
Even
a police officer does not stop you to greet you in Kenya. They don't stop you to congratulate you, to tell you, hey, my friend, I like your shirt. Where did you get this? How can I? No police officer stops a common man. Have you heard of any of such?
No.
Every time they call you, they're asking you, something wrong.
They want to harass you.
So it is that training. I believe that Kiganjo still has colonial era training. When the colonialists came to Kenya, they were to subject the black Africans to their rule. So they want people to always abide by what they are saying. It's not like we are here to police for us all.
To be slaves for them.
Exactly, we are slaves. So I think that training is still what is being imparted in Kiganjo.
So for us to change our way of doing things,
the first thing we need to do is change the training system
for the police.
Yes, let the police be trained on human dignity. That these are Kenyans, they are your brothers, they are your sisters. They are not all of them potential criminals. Actually, a large percentage of the Kenyan population are law-abiding citizens. Criminals maybe make up, 5 to 10% of the population. So 90+% of Kenyans are law-abiding citizens. But this is not what they are taught in Kiganjo. They are taught to consider every person as a potential criminal. And this is where we go wrong. I believe that, as a country to move forward, we must have serious police reforms. To begin with, why is the entry a D-? So we are taking, the lowly educated Kenyans to take over our security. I believe we need to change that. Why can't we have graduate police officers? People who are able to reason, to think, and they're not just following orders.
But now, anybody who has got above C+ cannot join the police.
Even not above C+, even D-, they have to struggle to get those. But it is not because of the title police officer. It is because of the culture that is within the police service. No one wants to be associated with that.
And they also want somebody whom they can brainwash.
They want someone they can brainwash, they can direct, they can tell them what to do, and they will just say, yes, Afande.
Without
someone who has, that further education. When you're told to go and kill someone in a police station, in Central Police, you will think twice, why am I killing this person? Why am I being told to get some goons to go and beat him up? But if you're someone who just follows instructions and, it's easy for you to be manipulated. And this is why we have these problems today.
But there's one police, when I was a young boy, 2007, during the post-election violence. There's this police who came out and said, this Kenya is ours. We have taken too many years to get it where it is. Why do we want to burn it down in a single day?
I remember that. I remember allied officers or something like that. That would be someone who is exposed, someone maybe who's gone for training outside the country, someone who has seen how police service work in different setups, in different countries, you know. That police officer, and we remember him very fondly, cannot be your local Kiganjo graduate who just came from Kiganjo and was taken to the streets. And this is what we are saying, you know, in Kenya, for us to have service that is truly dedicated to serving Kenyans, we have to change the training. We have to expose these officers so that they can see new ways of doing things.
An activist in Kenya is an activist in Uganda. There's this other police in Uganda during Bessinger's case who was telling the police to allow the media personnel to get in, and then the other police were trying to cover people not to get in. Even I heard that he was being killed thereafter.
He was killed?
Yeah, that guy
really?
Was killed. Yeah, he was killed. The guy was trying to open up for the journalists to get in. Yeah.
Oh, that's very sad. I saw that. I remember seeing and even reading about that, but I didn't know that he was killed.
Yeah, he was.
And this is the problem we have, you know, in East Africa.
He was a threat now to the government because now they
considered him a traitor.
Yeah.
I think this is the problem we have in East Africa. What we are seeing in Kenya is being emulated in Tanzania, in Uganda. These leaders are borrowing worst practices, not best practices, worst practices with each other. We've seen how in Kenya people are subjected to violations, the same in Tanzania, the same in Uganda. And I think the time has come for us now as East Africans to rise up against oppression. We can have an Arab Spring of our own here in East Africa and demand for change, because if these leaders are united, kidnapping nationals from this country, taking them to that country, and you know, and so on and so forth.
Like the issue of Besigye.
Exactly, Besigye was abducted in Nairobi and forcefully taken to.
And we have Musalia Mudavadi as Prime Minister.
It's really appalling. You know, we have Kenyans who are picked inside Uganda. 2 weeks down the line, 2 weeks, bro. 2 weeks. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs have nothing to tell Kenyans. 2 weeks, and they have nothing to tell Kenyans. It is embarrassing. If I was the Minister for Foreign Affairs, I would have quit by now, because it shows laxity in you know, delivering. But how can you not even know what is happening?
They must be knowing only that.
And this is the point. We know that these governments are working together. They are aiding each other. They are supporting each other. I believe Mudavadi knows where this guy is, but he's opting not to share. And for that reason, we are telling Mudavadi, please, if you can't do this work, kindly just step aside.
Perhaps
let's have someone else who can do it.
If it was his kids who are being there,
it wouldn't even have taken 2 hours. Those guys would have, you know, been released. Kama ni watoto wake. But now that you know, they're children of peasants, poor people, you know, just from Kitengela, they don't care.
But I think that's the reason why JB Moturi got out of government, because when his son was held up, he just gave a call. He went to State House.
Shamba la wanyama. Animal farm.
There are some animals that are
he knows the president. He calls this guy, he calls that guy, gets this done, gets that done. But for you and me,
before JB reached to the president, the head of DCI said that he was not the one who was holding the guy. But when the JB Moturi reached to the president just gave a phone call. Nudin Haji.
That's what happens.
The guy was released.
That's what happens, you know, and that's what we are saying. You know, these powerful people, they operate within a different legal framework from us. Sisi wengine haki zetu hazichukuliwi na maanani, lakini hawa wengine wao wakiwa na issues, then they are treated differently. And this is a very unfortunate situation in Kenya.
So it confirms that the president is very much aware of what is happening.
By the way, don't be fooled by anyone who tells you ati Rais hajui. He is the head of government. He is the head of states.
He gets intelligent reports.
He gets reports. The president knows that Bob Jagi and Nicholas Oyo are missing. He knows. For sure.
And he wants us to vote for him come to
the president knows that that officer at State House who was killed was shot by some guy with a bow and arrow. He knows.
And by the way, how does somebody get close to State House with some arrows?
You know, that's a serious
getting arrows next to State House.
Serious lapse in security. Hata wacha State House. Where did he come from na hiyo bow and arrow? Alipanda matatu gani? Ama ni Uber, ama ni Nduthi, all the way, imagine, to kwa gate ya State House. Where was the security all this time?
From town.
Exactly.
Kutembea na mshare.
Yeah, because when he was there, he had the bow and arrow. So alifikisha aje hapo? Aliitoa wapi? And why didn't
now by the time even he's planning to shoot to target the guy.
I mean, it's really concerning that such a thing would happen.
Near State House.
If State House is not safe, are we safe in our houses? That's a killing right at the gates of State House. And not a killing of a normal person, you and me. A killing of a GSU.
Armed police officer.
Armed GSU officer.
Next to other armed police officers.
Next to other armed officers. Are we safe really in this country? If such a thing could happen, na sisi wengine